Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to the regular season finale, race 26 of season 5 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Southern 500 here at Darlington Raceway. 48 laps of racing here at the Lady in Black. But I am not alone for this one. I'm actually joined by two legends of this channel. First, please welcome, fourth in points, Mr. Kyle Matthews.
What is going on?
And then also joining me is 23rd in points, unfortunately, and he's not too thrilled with me for saying that, but I don't care, it's funny. Please welcome the man I like to call Sethy Poo, Seth Cole.
The top 30, though. It's a new sensation. Yay.
So before we take a look at how the starting lineup looks, we've got a lot to discuss as far as the point situation goes. So pretty much after last week at Atlanta, we got three drivers that are essentially locked in as my Twitter goes off, because a race wouldn't be a race without my Twitter going off. It would be heresy. But after last week at Atlanta, we got three drivers pretty much locked into the chase. Joshua Collard, Carson Gum, and Dylan Jacobs. Kyle Matthews is safe for now, but things could change. Benjamin Miles is like right in that middle ground of trying to get in properly, but also he could easily fall out. But 6 on back to 18th in points is where we're going to have to keep an eye out for stuff. 33 points separate 6th back to 18th. And those drivers that are going to be battling for the final 5 spots in the chase include Jake Rogers, Alex Drayton, James McLeod, Emmanuel Hartnett, Chris Darlington, Paul Minnick, Dylan Young, Dylan Thoreau, Jay Jefferson, Dougie Shears, Dylan Poteet, Preston Plord, and James Shelley. Couple of long shots in the mix there are Sean Galligan, DJ Curtis, and Zachary Fitzwater to a degree, but they're going to have to hope to finish top 5 and hope everyone ahead of them finishes towards the back or even get the bottom 5 no point spots. But this race, I got a feeling we could be in for something special. But before we do the command, let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row, Dylan Poteet and Jonathan Zorline. Top 10, Chris Darlington on the pole for today, his first pole of the season. Starting next to him is Jessica Shelton. Row 2, Ethan Hoffman, Tim Fiegel. Row 3, Joshua Sekuli, Rafael Leduc. Row 4, Cody Lamas, Jay Jefferson. And then row 5, Colin Phillips, Dylan Young. And then before we get to command, I want to get each of you guys' thoughts on how you expect this race to go, and we'll start with Seth.
Well, I mean, obviously being Darlington and with the way the banking is and 1 and 2 being entirely different from 3 and 4, figure out which corners their cars are better in. I mean, if you're able to make passes in 1 and 2, that's where you've got to be most aggressive, and then same over in 3 and 4. I honestly think it's going to come down to track position. I'm looking at Chris Darlington starting on the pole. We mentioned the fact that he's right in the middle of this whole points conversation. He's tied for 10th right now with Paul Minnick. Starting out in front, I think he's in a really good position to be able to maybe gap himself over some of those other drivers that are trying to knock him out of the top 10 in points, maybe get himself a win. But pit road is one of the toughest to get on here as well. So if we have green flag pit stops, they're going to have to be aware of that.
Yeah, not to mention, of course, with the point situation, yeah, you said Darlington right in the middle of all that, tied for 10th with Paul Minnick. Yeah, another thing to keep an eye out for is potential 3-wide racing, because with how this track is and the I&I here, occasionally they'll try and go 3-wide, and at times they can make it work, but especially off of turn 4, we could see some pretty crazy crashes.
Yeah, I don't recommend going 3-wide at Darlington. I mean, the track is barely wide enough to go side by side. Making it 3-wide, that's usually not a good idea, but like you said, some places you can pull it off, so we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, and I was also going to say, plus not to mention, Darlington already has a bit of an advantage right now because he got the 2 bonus points for getting the pole, and then if he were to lead the first lap, that's another bonus point, which will really help his chances out. But then again, he does want to avoid finishing in that bottom 5, because if you finish 36 on back to 40th, you don't get points unless you had already gotten bonus points from getting the pole or leading a lap. But Kyle, what do you expect to see from this race?
I think it's going to be fun to watch. I like the chances of the driver starting out front. Track position plays a major role at Darlington. It can be difficult to pass at times, and if we get into pit stops, that could shake things up as well.
No doubt about it. But let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Southern 500 at the Darlington.
Drivers, start your engines!
As all 40 drivers roll onto the racetrack for their 1 pace lap. Now, some people would ask, how come not too many throwbacks? Well, it goes back to a point I mentioned early in the season. Only 1 scheme per driver, which is actually why starting next season, we're going to try and have some more original paint schemes or do flip-flop schemes. Say, for instance, what do I mean by a flip-flop scheme? Next year, Rafael Leduc will move to Retro Racing Enterprises in the 09 car, but he's going to be running a Lowe's paint scheme, which is his biggest wet dream, if I do say so myself.
Oh, wow.
But
I don't even have a comment for that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's just how things are going to go for next season, as well as team names, like I mentioned a few weeks ago at the Charlotte Roval. But the pace car is in pit road, so you all know what time it is, don't you? It is time to boogity, 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 go racing.
No, I think Darrell Waltrip needs to try to roll the tongue like you do whenever he does that.
And rookie Ethan Hoffman led the first lap, so he gets that bonus point. Now, Ethan Hoffman's in a completely different battle onto himself, and that's the rookie points battle, which is fairly close between a few drivers. And right now he's starting to pull away from everyone as, Sakuli into the wall. Everybody does a good job to avoid hitting him. But that did separate a lot of drivers up in the front here. Now it's a top 5 breakaway from everyone else.
And people wouldn't think it, but at Darlington, there actually is some grip up on that high side. Gives you a good exit off the corner. So I think with the fresh rubber, everybody's thinking, let's go up there, see if we can make it work. And Sakuli went up just a little bit too high.
Kind of like on a dirt track when a driver gets too high and they say jumping the cushion. I guess you can do that here at Darlington as well.
Yeah, it is possible, and now we see a battle on for third. Colin Phillips had the spot, but now Dylan Young, who's one of those drivers outside the top 10 in points, trying to get into the chase. And right now he's doing a good job of trying to maintain himself. James Qualls, on the other hand, he's virtually out of the hunt, but he wants to try and end this season off strong. Right now running up here in 4th.
Right now for Dylan Young is that the guy who started on the pole, Chris Dollerton, he was up and brushing the wall on the first lap, and he's kind of faded back a little. So right now, Dylan Young's got track position on Dollerton. I think as the standings would go right now, I think Dollerton would be out and Dylan Young would be in.
Yeah, and of course, throughout the race, we're going to try and keep track of all of those 12 drivers that are really in the hunt to try and get into the top 10. But right now we got Hoffman still leading the way. Cody Lamas, on the other hand, despite winning 2 races, he's just been an example of a driver that's been bit with the bad luck bug pretty much all season long, either getting caught up in wrecks or finishing in the bottom 5. And his goal is to try and finish top 30 in points just to end the season off strong going into next season.
you have 2 wins and you're running lower in points than me, you're having a bad season.
Right now, it's a 4-car breakaway with Colin Phillips kind of like the bridge between the top 4 and everyone else behind him as Diego Yepes. That's interesting. 3 out of the 5 rookies are currently running up here in the top 10.
I'm actually not surprised about that. I've seen so many times at tracks as difficult as Darlington, it seems like the rookies seem to be the ones that rise to the top, at least early on. So not really surprised to see that many rookies running up here towards the front right now. I mean, Darlington, you have to attack it, and I guess these rookies feel they have no look.
Indeed. And Ethan Hoffman kind of went a little bit too high off of 4 there, which left some room for Cody Lamas to reel him in a little bit, but Lamas ain't going for the move quite just yet. Maybe he's going to try off a turn 2 here, and we'll see how things work.
And what was a 5-car breakaway is looks like it's about to become about a 10-car pack. As looks like about 6th through 10th is all but caught this group, or is trying to close in on them. They are running single file, and that's helping them run that group down.
Cody Lamas still trying to work the 99, as now we got a top 6 freight train up here at the front right now, as Phillips and Yepes have caught up to the top 4. Darlington's still up there in 7th right now, and actually right behind him is one of those drivers already locked into the chase, Carson Gum, and he's looking to try and get a second win so you can get more bonus points when the points get reset after tonight.
Looks like we got a battle up front.
Yeah, Lamas has finally gotten around Hoffman, but now he's leaving room for Dylan Young, although Dylan Young didn't quite get there in time. Now he's going to try and work the bottom as Dylan Young trying to go for the lead. But Lamas leads at the line right there.
I think Lamas has him cleared, yep.
And that's going to help those 3 cars behind them right there of Carson Young, Chris Darlington, and Jessica Shelton close in. These guys running side by side.
Yeah, right there behind them. And then all the way back here, Tim Fiegel. And then it's a huge gap all the way back here to Benjamin Miles in the 22. And that is 11th right now on the racetrack. Must have been a couple of drivers getting the old Darlington stripe that caused quite a bit of separation among the field.
Well, so, I think the biggest separation came when I forget who it was, but somebody up front we were talking about when somebody up front got a little bit too high, got up into the wall. That kind of cut the field in half.
And now we got a new leader. James Qualls now has the spot right now, and this would be really cool for him to win one of his favorite racetracks he loves going to at Darlington. But right behind him, we're about to get a side-by-side battle between Phillips and Yepes, 2 rookies who are up there in that Rookie of the Year battle.
We're about to get a pretty good battle for points-wise as well. Chris Darlington now alongside of Dylan Young, and those 2 came into this race separated by 2 points.
Indeed. And speaking of those 12 drivers, let's actually try and figure out where those drivers currently lie on the track. And right there you got 2 of them, side by side, and teammates on top of that, Darlington and Dylan Young. But next up, we're going to try and take a look at Paul Minnick. Wow, he's way back there in 38th. This is definitely not what he wants.
Love the paint scheme on that 9 car.
Dylan Thoreau next up, 40th, dead last, and definitely not what he wants either. And then Alex Drayton up in 14th, so he's faring a little bit better. And then just a few cars behind them, side by side, Jake Rogers and Dougie Shears, who are in the mix of getting into the top 10. Then I believe James Shelley, ooh, he's way back there in the 36th position. And then Jay Jefferson, who is on the hunt, he's back in 33rd. So you can tell some of these drivers are going to have to rely on great pit stops or perhaps a quick caution in order to get back to the rest of the field and hope they can make some moves by the time they get back to racing. And as I'm trying to look for other drivers, let's see, Emmanuel Hartnett, as I just screwed up right there. Well, there he is, actually right behind Miles, so, and that is for 11th right there that the 20 has. But back up here at the front, Ethan Hoffman has the lead again. Led early on, back up at the front for now, as Qualls is trying to hold off the 0-0 of Colin Phillips.
Drivers that need to rely on pit stops to gain track position. 3 of the drivers that are in the hunt to get into the top 10 you talked about, Shelley, Thoreau, and Minnick. Right now, they would be in spots that, as you said at the top of the program, they wouldn't get any points for this race.
Yeah, and that will really, really affect the point standings quite a lot if that were to be the case. As right now, as far as like how close drivers are, it looks like top 9 are all together right now, and then it's almost 3 seconds on back to 10th right now, which is Benjamin Miles. And Benjamin Miles, of course, he came into this race 5th in points, and he had a 21-point cushion over 10th, and right now he'd be in good hands to make the chase. Same with even Alex Drayton, who's right now in 11th, but we still got a long way to go. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and sometimes when you get old like me, your eyes play tricks on you, but it almost looks like that second pack might be reeling in this first pack.
Wouldn't surprise me. Any of these guys have done a lot of racing here over the last couple of laps, and that's just going to help these guys back here if they continue to run single file.
Yeah, I was actually starting to think that a little bit because, yeah, from 10th on back for the most part are single file. The only double wide race I see back there is with Jake Rogers and Seth Cole, and that's around, I would say, about 23rd on track, I would assume. But, yeah, as long as these guys can maintain single file and hope that these guys up ahead of them continue to race.
Oh, yeah, they're still racing.
But the top 2, they continue to kind of pull away a little bit from everyone behind them, Hoffman and Qualls. And Ethan Hoffman, as far as how he stacks up points-wise, he is 34th in points, and he's trying to go for his first win of the season. And as of now, this would be the only season he's running in this series, so he's wanting to make the most of it. But now, 3rd on back have caught back up to the top 2. But the margin, let's see the margin from 9th through 10th, a little bit closer.
Yeah, there was a battle for 3rd going on the last couple of laps between Cody Lamas and Dylan Young. They've finally settled that out right now, and now they're going back to single file racing. It's kind of funny. We see, they started out going, the first couple of laps running single file, then they started racing again, and now they're back to single file. It's just kind of weird how that's playing out right now.
And we just now got to the halfway point. We got 24 laps to go. 24 laps have been completed. And you got to wonder, of course, we brought up prior to going green that you got to wonder when will these drivers have to come into pit road. And, Hoffman gets the wall.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. And Dylan Young was underneath James Qualls for what was in the second position. Qualls will lead the lap, but man, that could have been big right there.
That could have been disastrous.
Just missed his marks or what? I mean, he was the leader, so he had the end of the corner up on him.
And now Lama's trying to take the lead away from Dylan Young, and he's got the lead for now. And we got caution. Caution is out for the first time. Let's see what happened.
Well, this could
Not
change
really
everything.
seeing anything.
I don't see any smoke.
I don't know. This is going to be bizarre. I hope this isn't like Texas and it's a caution for nothing. And a signal that perhaps some drivers are going to come into pit road, but Diego Yepes is going to stay out. That's a bit odd.
I don't know about that strategy.
I agree with you, Kyle. That's why take an opportunity to have to pit under green when you've got this yellow past the halfway point.
Exactly. I think we may know what happened. I see damage on the 41 of Colin Francis, so it might have been him that caused a caution. But yeah, Diego Yepes, the only one who's staying out, and like we were talking about just now, I don't think that's going to be very smart on the part of the 10, but we're going to go to the pit lane cam and see who's going to come out first. And it looks like it's going to be Qualls. And I got a feeling he probably took gas only, or maybe 2 tires and gas. And then Galligan, Seth Cole, Emmanuel Hartnett, James Shelley.
We had some gamblers, there's no doubt about that. The 20, I think they gambled. Might have only gone with a 2-tire stop, maybe fuel only. They gained some track position, but that's going to mean we're going to have possibly some slower cars up towards the front on the restart.
And now it looks like the 10, he's going to come into pit road. I guess he just wanted to get that extra bonus point just to help him out in the rookie points battle.
But
perhaps.
that's an awful lot of track position he has given up to do this, though. I mean, I had just really puzzled on this whole strategy.
Yeah, maybe he's going to do what everyone else did, or what some drivers did, maybe either take 2 tires and gas or just gas only, and maybe he can still keep a certain spot in perhaps like the 25th position. I don't know. Let's see what he's going to do.
Now remember, Ethan Hoffman's been out in front for a good portion of this, and Yepes is battling him for Rookie of the Year honors, so maybe he wanted that bonus point for leading a lap to counter a bonus point that Hoffman would have picked up.
And Yepes is going with 4 tires, so yeah, he's going to end up starting in the back. But he handed the lead back over to James Qualls, so Qualls will get the lead when we go to the restart. But before that, let's take a look and see what brought the caution out for the first time tonight here at the Southern 500 at Darlington. Hey, what's up guys? It's Levi McIntyre back here with a bit of an editor's note. So, because the game decided to crash just as we were wrapping up the race, and I was doing the live points during the race, and I go back into the game, and my game crashed, so unfortunately you won't be able to get to see the rest of the race. However, I did get the final results and the point standings in time before the game crashed, so here's a look at everything. The next race will be Canyonland, so be on the lookout for that. Sorry for the inconvenience in this video. Hopefully next time won't be so bad. But until then, this is Levi McIntyre signing off.